Good evening from Fort Mill, South Carolina. It's the 2017 East Coast Basketball League Championship game featuring the Northern Conference champions, Carolina Thunder at 10-5, and the Southern Conference champs, primetime players at 15-0. Hi, everybody. Chris Shima, glad as always to be with you. Let's set the stage in a couple of minutes. We're going to meet both of the teams here first. Starting today for the Carolina Thunder and head coach Sebastian Page is number 1, Trey James, number 2, Jarvis Williams, number 11, Anthony Keene, number 23, Andrew Crawford, and number 34, Brandon Page. That's the starters today for your Northern Conference champions. Now for the primetime players, head coach Chris Thomas is starting number 2, Chris Moore, the MVP of the East Coast Basketball League for the second straight season. Also starting today for the primetime players, number 3, PJ Heath, number 11, Terrell Smith, number 24, Danny Sanders, and number 55 is Thomas Pfaff. So that's the starters for both of these teams. Both teams rolling right now. The Carolina Thunder, their playoff victories, 114-103 against Petersburg in the opening round. They had 11 blocks, 17 steals, and 20 offensive rebounds in that game. Then in the Northern Finals, they took down the Coyotes 120-112. 44% shooting in that game for the Thunder, 23 assists, 23 offensive rebounds, and 12 blocks. So defensively, their interior has played very well here in the playoffs. For the primetime players, second straight undefeated regular season, or second in 3 East Coast Basketball League seasons, I should say. Their playoff victories by 27 over Florence in the first round, 137-110. They shot 44% in that game. 25 assists, 11 steals, 11 blocks of their own, and 63 rebounds. And then in the Southern Conference Championship, everybody thought it would be close. Briefly, the Carolina the Carolina Crusaders had a lead in the third quarter, but primetime did win by 12, 131-119 against the Crusaders. 45% shooting for the primetime players, 59 rebounds, 15 turnovers. Couple of roster notes for today's championship game. Primetime players, DeJuan Harris is not going to play today. Victor Street is back after suffering an injury, so he will play in limited minutes, I'm told, here today. So some injuries today for the primetime players. Not everybody is healthy 100%. Pierre Steins is also hurt. Carolina Thunder only roster mention for them, Devante Washington late arriving, so the league's leader in blocks per game at 4.3 will come off the bench. Brandon Page, who you see at center court, will tip it off to start, but expect to see Washington in there pretty quickly. I saw him just walk in before the tip, so I'll probably let him warm up a little bit over on the bench, get him in there as quickly as possible. You know, the Thunder, as I mentioned, they're rolling. Started the season 3-4. They've won 7 of 8. As we're just about set to get underway, Thunder in the blue, primetime players are in the white, and the tip is controlled by the Thunder. Quick trigger 3 by Crawford. That's Andrew Crawford for the Thunder, 20.5 points per ball game. If the Thunder can hit some threes today, that's going to help their cause. On the season, just 33%, so they need those to go down. Driving right to the bucket is Danny Sanders. We expect this to be high scoring today, of course, with the primetime players involved. 1 out of 2 from 3 for Andrew Crawford this time. He misses as Sanders pulls down the rebound. So the Thunder winners of 7 of their last 8. How about Sanders to the bucket again? Not that time. So Williams into the forecourt now for the Thunder. Williams turns on the Jets and lost it out of bounds. Carolina Thunder from the PD area, talking to Sebastian Page, the head coach beforehand, says they're going to have a home next year. Sanders 2 out of 3 shooting in the early going, and primetime leads at 4-3. And they will have a home probably in the Dillon area. Stepping inside the circle is Williams, can't get the jumper. Moore, Sanders bounce passes it back to Moore. Moore around the defender Keene. Keene altered the shot from behind, though. Good recovery for him. Now he steps into a jumper. Off the back of the rim, no good. It's PJ Heath with the rebound. Smith to Sanders. Sanders for 3, no. and it's Keene collecting the board. Here's Trey James driving in. Andrew Crawford trying to make his second three. He's now 1 out of 3 from behind the arc. The clock is a little bit off, so it's 10-17. The 1 is burnt out, so just use your imagination at home. That was last touch, they say, by the Thunder, so we stay on this side of the court. Shot clocks will be adjusted. Right now it's at 9, and they're going to change it to 12. So 12 to shoot for prime time. Prime time, this is their last semi-pro tune-up before the basketball tournament coming up in July. Thomas Pfaff gets it right back to Sanders. Sanders to the bucket. Sanders short, but it's tipped back up and in by P.J. Heath. 6 games this season for P.J., 10.2 points per ball game as he gets on the board. Now playing transition defense, but James scoring over him, and it's 6-5 primetime players. Hey guys, if you want to use the YouTube chat, give us a shout. Let us know where you're watching from. It's easier to do it if you've got a laptop or a desktop if you're watching that way, as Thomas Pfaff scores. Prime time by 3. So if you're the Carolina Thunder, just want to hang around here. Primetime players, like all good teams, use these big runs. Harris, too strong off the glass. P.J. Heath, that was James, excuse me, Trey James. Speaking of which, James comes up with the steal. Trey James swings it out. Andrew Crawford into the lane. Bucket in and out. It bounced around, and Pfaff comes up with the board. Sanders skies it to the MVP, Moore around all defenders. The reverse was short. Pfaff tried for the offensive rebound. Keene comes up with it. Anthony Keene to the bucket. Leaves it for James. James off the glass and in. And it's 8-7. Inside 9 minutes to go here in this opening quarter. Moore bounce pass to Smith, Terrell Smith, 9th in the league in scoring at 26.4. Chris Moore 3rd at 37.6. Driving in is James, got it to go. Carolina 9, primetime players 8. Danny Sanders into the forecourt with 14 on the shot clock, guarded by Williams in the man-to-man. It swung Thomas Pfaff. Pfaff turnaround shot is up and good, and Primetime gets the lead right back. That's where, when he's ready to go, Devante Washington coming off the bench will play a big role. That shot blocking ability, Devante Washington, is, you can kind of see him stretching with his teammate over on the side. Andrew Crawford, pull up in the lane, yes. And back and forth affair here in the early going. It's 11-10, Carolina Thunder, primetime players averaging, as Moore gets on the board for the first time, 142.8 points per game. That led the league. They also led the league in assists per game at 28.7 and blocks per game at 7.3. Carolina Thunder 3rd in blocks per game, in part because of Washington. The Thunder averaged 6.2. Moore with back-to-back buckets, primetime by 3 once again. Anthony Keene gets his defender to gamble or go for the fake. Turnaround shot no good though. Now here's primetime. It's Heath. Smith to the corner, fires a triple and buries it. This is one of those dangerous situations we were talking about, and the Carolina Thunder will call time. So primetime known for their big runs. That's why they've won by an average margin of 28 points per ball game, but more on them later. Let's talk Carolina Thunder, their season recap. 7-5 during the regular season. The expansion team winning over Petersburg in the first round of the playoffs and took down the Coyotes. I'd call it an upset, a mild upset. I thought the Coyotes were going to be in this game from week 1. Carolina Thunder, though, getting hot at the right time. They won 6 of in a row and 7 of 8, including playoff victories. They're 5th in the league in assists per game at 23.0, 3rd in steals at 13.5. Their key victories against the Coyotes and against Winston-Salem. So primetime by 6, 17-11. So Devante Washington does come on now for the Thunder. Washington, 24 points, 19 rebounds, and 9 blocks in 2 playoff games so far. This is Richardson. James Richardson also checking in. Player who averages close to 20 off the bench. Smith into the forecourt. Thomas Pfaff underneath. Blocked but fouled by Washington. So Thomas Pfaff in the act of shooting. He'll go to the line. Not a great free throw shooter. Thomas is 48%, averaging a double-double, 11.3 and 11.7. He's tied for 5th in rebounding in the league. Product of Lipscomb. Connecting on both free throws. It's 20-10. They changed one of the 2s to a 3, I'm guessing. So correct score on your screen, 20-11. Washington trying to get into the act, and like I said, he's a late arrival, didn't have any warm-up time. So we'll see how that comes into play. He missed his first shot. Sanders too strong on the 3. Carolina Thunder have to get a bucket. They can't let Primetime get on a big run here. James to the bucket. James can't get it to go. Fight for the offensive rebound, and it's going back to Primetime. And with 5:40 left to go, we will have, I believe we're going to have a timeout. Sub for the Thunder. I thought we were going to have a timeout. I guess not. Deshaun Bethea coming on for the first time for Carolina. 15.3 off the bench. 8 players average double figures. Oh, come on, Chris Moore. That's why he's the MVP. That is a man playing basketball right there. Bethea trying to answer, and he does. Big bucket for Carolina. They've got to string together some stops defensively. Smith for 3. It's good. Primetime starting the roll here past the midway point in the first quarter. Williams. Bethea. Bethea doubled up. Bethea, the reverse, too strong off the glass, more the rebound. Cross court to PJ, and he walked. Yeah, he walked. Traveling is the call. It's a good call by the officials. And we will have Kendrick Whittington come in for the Carolina Thunder. So the Thunder subbing in a lot of guys coming in and out. And I guess we will have a timeout. So now the media timeout comes, and since I'm the only media, I'm not going to take a timeout. I'm going to keep it right here and tell you about the primetime players. They're undefeated regular season, 13-0. It's their second in 3 ECBL seasons. So far, they've only lost 2 games in this league. They won over Florence in the first round of the playoffs, took down the Crusaders by 12 in the Southern Finals. How about this for the primetime players looking for championship number 6? They had a 3-peat in the East Coast, or in the Tobacco Road Basketball League, the now defunct TRBL. And they're now seeking to 3-peat here in the ECBL. And as I mentioned earlier, leading the league in scoring, assists, and blocks. Key wins. 8 took down the Crusaders twice and the All-Stars twice. That was their main competition in the Southern Conference. Out of the timeout, the primetime players leading by 12. against the upstart Carolina Thunder. I say upstart. They've got some good players, some veteran players on this team, including Anthony Keene, who you saw inbounded there. He's been in this game before. He played with Fayetteville last year. 3-ball no good by Richardson. Coming up with the board is Smith. Moore behind the back. Sanders tries the triple, no. Washington able to collect the rebound. Bethea into the forecourt. He'll pull up for 3 and bury his second off the bench. So he's got 6. Lead is 9, but make it 11 as PJ Heath answers right back. I mean, what do? You got to sprint back on defense. It's hot in this gym. Washington, nice job underneath. Counted in the foul. Devante goes to the line. 5 double-doubles this season for Washington. 17.7 points per game, 8.7 rebounds, 4.3 blocks. Shooting 51% from the charity stripe. Brian Mobley checking in for the primetime players as Sanders will sit down. Again, folks, we're using the YouTube chat. It's up, it's going. Feel free to give me a shout. Let us know who you're watching for, who you're cheering on, all that good stuff. Terrell Smith from downtown, too strong. Tip for the rebound. Mobley comes up with it. Chris Moore, double team, bounce past to Mobley on the right block. And they're not going to call that flop as Mobley puts it up and in. Got to play better than that against the primetime players. You can't try to get lucky. You've got to play harder defense. Bethea, PJ Heath the rebound, and then he got bumped. Washington just kind of wrong place, wrong time for him, and that's 2 now on Devante. I believe he's going to have to go back to the bench. He will, as B.J. Crawford comes in for him. So they need Washington out on the court. He's gone for at least the rest of the first quarter, I would think. We'll see what Sebastian Page elects to do as Crawford gets into foul trouble. 3:28 left to go. There's going to be some stoppages in this game, folks, to get some wet spots on the court. These guys are going to be sweating bullets out there. If I had to guess, I'd say the gym temperature is maybe 90, 92 degrees. We all remember LeBron James against San Antonio in the finals when he was a member of the Miami Heat, when the air conditioning in San Antonio broke down and LeBron James broke down with it. It's so hot in the gym. Well, that's how semi-pro basketball is all the time. Moore into the forecourt. Smith on the right side. Moore. Sally's come on for the primetime players. Matt Sally checking in. Shot no good. Tip for the rebound. Moore from the baseline. Too strong. Mobley coming in. Mobley, no. Followed his shot. Ball tipped around, and finally Whittington comes up with it. Bethea. Driving in is Richardson, and he's fouled from behind. Shot was blocked, but I believe Sally got a piece of his arm. Chris Thomas said he's looking for one more. Wants to find a big for the basketball tournament coming up. First free throw, no good. I said, Chris, you know Anthony Morrow. Why not give him a call? He said he's got enough shooters. So it'll be interesting to see what roster moves that the primetime players make. They were an early exit in the basketball tournament last year. They're going up against Middle Tennessee's alumni. That will be an interesting matchup. Two teams that are probably comfortable with one another. How about the give and go? Sally laying it up and in. 32-20 is the correct score on your screen. Make it 32-22. Whittington getting it to go for Carolina. 2:20 left to play here in the opening quarter. Moore. Sally up top. Left side Smith, bounce past Mobley. And Mobley is fouled on the floor. Shot will not count. He was fouled on the floor. So Terrell Smith will inbound it. Richardson called for the foul. So Terrell Smith, Chris Moore in the backcourt. Up front, it's Mobley, it's Pfaff, and it's Sally. That's the 5 for the primetime players right now. That's Sally losing it. Thomas Pfaff is there. Here's Moore. Moore fires the 3 off the back of the rim to beat the shot clock, and Carolina cannot get the rebound. So primetime hitting the offensive glass. And it looks like Smith stepped out of bounds. So turnover gives the ball back to the Thunder. Thomas Pfaff is going to come out. Eric Mann will come in for primetime. Eric playing in just his second game this season. Scored 6 points in his first game. Well, we were wondering who's going to have the big game in this championship game. Last year it was Terrell Smith, 34 points in last year's championship to win the finals MVP. So far it's been pretty balanced for both teams. A couple of guys, Bethea for Carolina, hitting some big shots. That shot by Richardson goes in and out. Mobley off the tip with the rebound. Inside 90 seconds to go in the opening quarter, Brian Mobley. It's to Sally. Here's Moore, flips it up, too strong off the glass. Ball deflected, Keene another rebound, and then threw it away. Too strong on the pass. Richardson did all he could, but it's a turnover. Carolina might want to think about trying to slow it down. On the season, they averaged 28 points per game, less than primetime players, so that fast break was there. Keene just missed the pass, but when it's not there, right now Carolina trying to force. Richardson to the cutter. B.J. Crawford can't get it to go. And Mann pulls down the rebound. Terrell Smith, that's poked away over near us. Last touch by Carolina. Chris Moore. Guarded by Bethea. Here's Mobley. Mobley triggers the triple and buries it. Primetime players by 13. Brian Mobley on the season, just 26% from behind the arc. In 42 East Coast Basketball League games, Mobley's got 810 points. Moore, alley-oop, oh, just a little too much for Mobley. And Bethea comes up with it. He's fouled on the reach. 17 seconds left to work with for Carolina. They can hold for the final shot of the quarter here. And it'll be Richardson to inbound it. So Keene will run some clock here. Good defensive quarter for the primetime players, holding Carolina just 22 points. Carolina can get some momentum here if Richardson can bury this 3. He cannot, and that is how the first quarter comes to an end. 12 minutes in the books in the championship game. Primetime players 35, Carolina Thunder 22. Take a break, come back, and bring in the second quarter right after this. On to quarter number 2 we go. Chris Sheeman, glad to be back with you here in Fort Mill, South Carolina. Primetime players trying to make it a three-peat here in the East Coast Basketball League and win their 6th consecutive minor league championship as Mobley gets the scoring started here in quarter number 2 with the tip-in. 6 in a row would be close to a record in semi-pro basketball, but Thea trying to make it 3 for 3 from behind the arc, couldn't get it to go, and then Trey James loses it. Well, they say it was last touched by Primetime. Set the 5 on the court for you. It's Whittington, James, Williams, Bethea, and also Andrew Crawford. That's the 5 for Carolina Thunder. Crawford from the wing, can't get it. Mobley on the court. And how about this? DeJuan Harris is in the game. Chris said he probably wouldn't play today, but we see him out on the court right now. He's out there with Sally and Mann, also Smith and Mobley. So DeJuan Harris nursing an injury, but giving it a shot. Whittington, yes, and the foul. Kendrick Whittington, just his 4th game of the season. 17 points in the playoffs, making contributions late this season. The time on the clock is 10:56 left to go. Again, the 1 is out. 3-point play incomplete. Here comes Primetime. DeJuan Harris over 20 points per game. The league's leader in assists per game at 11.8. We'll see how much they use him today. They want to make sure everybody's healthy for the basketball tournament. Floor's going to be slick. 3 ball now for Sally, and that was to beat the clock. Did not go. Bethea into the forecourt. Williams directing traffic, looking for a screen from Whittington. Now he directs him to the top of the key. Whittington, one-on-one with Sally, can't get it to go. Tip back up, no. Whittington the reverse, that was blocked by Mann. Here come the primetime players, it's Harris. Harris turns on the Jets. Oh, what a pump. Did you see that? DeJuan Harris, immediate impact off the bench. James trying to answer. Floats it from a tough angle, can't get it to go. Here's Smith. Harris thought about it. Being hounded by Williams. Step back by Harris. Is an air ball and a late whistle. Moore can't believe it. DeJuan Harris, as I mentioned, led the league in assists per game this year. Oh no, they called it offensive. They called it offensive as Danny Sanders comes back into the game for Matt Sally. So, Thunder basketball, my apologies. Williams to the baseline. James blocked and fouled from behind. Trey James, 3rd in the league in rebounding, averaging close to a double-double on the season, 9.6 and 13.6. 22 points, 35 rebounds, 5 blocks in the playoffs so far for Trey James from Darlington. Did I mention I love these old school Thunder uniforms? I mentioned it during the High Point game, but a lot of you probably didn't see that game for obvious reasons. It was a disaster. I said it then, I'll say it now. I want me one of those jerseys. Somebody tell Sebastian, mail me one. I'm gonna need a small one though. You guys know I'm not tall. Here's Williams into the forecourt. Richardson on the wing. Richardson drives to the bucket. Nice move, too strong off the glass though. Thunder are getting to the bucket, but they're so amped up, I think, that their shots have just a little too much on them most of the time. We've seen some misses from point blank. It's been good defense for primetime, don't get me wrong, the Thunder have been getting to the bucket though. They need to start converting. Instead, they turn it over. 2-on-1. Rocket pass. Mobley throws it down. Prime time by 17. Williams, too strong again. James, same thing. They're just too strong on the glass. Mobley on the right. Mann, yes. The little roll by Eric Mann. And primetime starting to pour it on now. This is one of those runs I was talking about. Williams steps into a three. Can't get it to go. Sanders, Harris. Back to Danny. Danny Sanders can't get it to go. Good defense. Mobley saves it though. Mann, Harris, and oh boy, that ricocheted off the kneecap, I believe, of Williams. Here's Richardson parrying the jumper from the charity stripe. It's the 2017 ECBL championship game. Chris Sheeman calling this one for the third straight year. Smith misses that, an air ball in fact. James the rebound, stepping into a three. Andrew Crawford in and out and right back in. And finally the rim gives the Thunder some love. 5-point swing for Carolina. Driving in Harris. Here's Smith, extra pass. Sanders, too strong on the three. James the board. Trey James goes behind the back, nice move. Extra pass, unselfish play. Whittington can't get it. Missed the second, but he's fouled, and he is frustrated with himself. Sanders called on the foul. Kendrick Whittington, just 47% free throw shooter. Bangs through the first one. Cool thing about the basketball tournament this year is it's all going to be streamed on the ESPN app. Watch ESPN online. Every game. Can't wait to see the primetime players go up against that Middle Tennessee alumni team. And Middle Tennessee, if you know college basketball, they've had some upsets in the big dance, and a lot of their guys are getting back together again and try to make some money for themselves. It's going to be interesting because not only will it be fun to watch, because a lot of people know that team, know their story if you know college basketball, but it'll be fun because those are going to be two teams going at each other who are familiar with one another. So the reason why the primetime players had success the first year they were in the basketball tournament was they were able to use that chemistry. You know, a lot of these guys, these teams are put together, and it's all-star teams. It's like pro-am teams almost, where you have, you know, a couple NBA players or former NBA players play, and then, you know, a bunch of their people or a rec league that everybody's familiar with, but they don't get a lot of as much time together as the primetime players do, who play, you know, in addition to these 15, 16 ECBL games, they play, you know, 80-some pro-am games and other rec league games. So that cohesiveness has helped the primetime players in the past. It's going to be interesting, that first-round matchup with Middle Tennessee. Three ball by Terrell Smith. Primetime by 15. Sanders rejecting that shot from Richardson. Mobley for three. Yes. Got to get a timeout. Carolina will try to play through it. They will have the media timeout at the next dead ball. Andrew Crawford tries to answer. Big bucket for Andrew. He started scoring with 2 3-pointers. He's got 3 now in the ball game. Thomas Pfaff. Pfaff can't get it to go, and a late whistle. Did I mention it was a late whistle? I mean, that was Sebastian Page is losing his mind over there, and I don't blame him. Timeout. We will step aside. Thomas Pfaff goes to the line out of the timeout. Chris Shima, glad to be back with you. It's the 2017 East Coast Basketball League Championship game. Primetime players looking for a three-peat. Looking good so far, up by 15. So Pfaff gets 2 free throws, missing the first one, but getting the second. So the lead is 16, 52-36. Anthony Keene back in for the Thunder. He's on the court with Andrew Crawford. Also Richardson. Page has come on, and good to see Washington back out there as well. Chris Moore's back out there for prime time. He's on the court with Smith and Sanders. Also P.J. Heath and Thomas Pfaff. Blocking foul called on Washington, and as soon as Devante comes back in, he picks up his third right away. Devante Washington frustrated. I think the Thunder are frustrated in general. They have not had a lot of things go their way in terms of calls. That last before the timeout, before the media timeout, was a very late whistle. And, you know, those 50-50 plays, the charge, is it a charge, is it a block? You know, when the 50-50s don't go your way either, you start to get frustrated. Getting a lot of wet spots on the court. It is hot and sticky here in Fort Mill. Danny Sanders at the line, 76% free throw shooter, connecting on the first one. Sanders rims through the second. Prime time by 18. This is their biggest lead of the evening. Richardson, and that's through the hands of Whittington. Steal by Terrell Smith. Terrell Smith, another good season for him as Heath lays it up and in. Prime time up to 20 now. Richardson driving, too strong off the glass, another late whistle, and I believe Richardson will go to the line. James Richardson, 43 points, shooting over 51% in the playoffs, coming into the championship here today. And gets the first free throw to go. Carolina Thunder opened the season at 3-4. And they won 7 of 8 to close the season. That includes their 2 playoff victories to win the North. Not bad in their first year. Sanders with the hand in his face. Free throw, no good. Moore tried to flip it up, couldn't get it to go. Keene in transition. Here's Andrew Crawford for 3. Yes. Back-to-back buckets for Carolina. Crawford averaging 20 and a half on the season. Thomas Pfaff. Pfaff had it poked away. And they say it's last touched by the Thunder. So 13 to shoot for the primetime players. It will be Moore to inbound. Sub first for the Thunder as Richardson goes to the bench. Bethea comes back in. Bethea's played well off the bench with 3 3-pointers in this first half. Thomas Pfaff. Here's Smith for 3, and he's fouled by Brandon Page, who knew it and frustrated with himself. So Terrell Smith now will go to the line to shoot 3 free throws. Terrell Smith 62%. Finals MVP last year, as I mentioned, 50 points in the playoffs coming into play today. Connects on the first one. Terrell Smith, 9th in the league in scoring. Shooting down a little bit, though, at just 39%. He did average 6.2 rebounds and 3.4 assists. As always, it's Smith and Moore who do the bulk of the scoring for the primetime players, and they've only gotten stronger, adding DeJuan Harris. A lead back to 18 for primetime. Anthony Keene drives left of the lane. Now he'll back it out. Thomas Pfaff on him, so he'll shoot the three and hit it. Pfaff didn't come too far out. Anthony Keene buries the triple, and it's 15 again. Smith to Pfaff. Thomas with the fake, lays it up and in. Keene, as I mentioned, the Thunder, an expansion team. Anthony Keene's been in this game before, though, as he's forced into a travel. He got trapped in the corner, or no, they called a timeout. So timeout Thunder. We'll step aside, come right back. Welcome back, everybody. Chris Sheeman back here with you. Primetime in control here in the championship game, up by 17 points. Thunder trying to hang around, but Andrew Crawford missing that three out of the timeout. Primetime has led for most of the game. It was a back-and-forth affair with about 7-8 minutes to go in the first quarter. Carolina Thunder led it briefly 9-8 and then 10-9. And then Primetime went on a run, and they've been in control ever since. Danny Sanders, good defense by him to come up with the steal here. He'll pull up from way downtown and bury it. Danny Sanders, 32% from behind the arc. Made it look like he shoots it about 80% there. Anthony Keene falling down, able to scoop it to Bethea. Bethea, Thomas on him. On a switch, fires the three, no, and Pfaff with the rebound. Here's Sanders again, not that time though, and Page pulls down the board. Keene turns on the Jets, scoops it up, short, tipped back up and in though by Whittington. And some more wet spots out on the court, so they're gonna stop the game again. Like I said, that's going to be a theme throughout because it's so hot and humid in the gym today. 1:44 left to go until halftime. We'll take our usual halftime break, folks, so we'll go away for about 10 minutes, 15 minutes, depending on what they have going on here at halftime. So put it on in the background, or go away for 10 minutes and come on back, and when you hear me talking at you again, then you'll know we're back to live action. Danny Sanders, step back three, yes. I mean, what do you do there if you're Andrew Crawford? He probably could have put more of a hand up off the step back, but he was right there with them. 69-46. Anthony Keene drawing contact. And he will go to the line. Anthony Keene. They say he was on the floor. Boy, this is not college. That was in the act in the pros. but they call it on the floor, so now they changed their mind. We talked about this. We did the Crusaders game, and folks were unhappy with the officials. For the most part today, the officials have done a great job. But there needs to be, somebody needs to train these guys so that everybody knows what's going on out on the court. It's a lot of hesitation and discussion, and it slows the game up, and it makes the product look bad. And I think that's probably something that the league was going to look at in the offseason. I mean, you've got to have guys who know what the rules are, in charge of the rules, enforcing the rules. Like I said, for the most part, it's been a good job today. A couple of late calls, but for the most part, these guys have done great. It's just they need better training. They need better understanding. Moore turnaround shot. Gets it to go. 71-48. Inside a minute to go until halftime. Anthony Keene turns on the Jets. He's trying to take the game over himself. Didn't work that time. Heath with the rebound. Sanders stutter step, and he's blocked from behind, and a hard foul. Anthony Keene, no harm intended, as the good sportsmanship there. So Danny Sanders is going to have to earn it from the free throw stripe. The one thing I'll say is if you call it too much like the NBA, you know, a foul like that in the NBA, they gotta replay it and look at it, and is it a flagrant foul? You know, that's just a hard foul. There's no harm intended. Let's shoot some free throws. So the NBA has some work to do too, because some of that stuff with the replays and fouls, that shouldn't happen. Sanders' first free throw off the back of the rim. So Sanders will try to get 1 out of 2. And he does, 72-48. Primetime players, well, if you're Carolina, you go 2 for 1 here. Richardson, pull up, got it to go. Nice jump shot from James Richardson, averaging 19.3 points per game, 43 points in the playoffs. Mentioned he's shooting the ball well in the postseason too, over 51%. That's going to be last touch by Bethea, who tried to sell it otherwise. 12 to shoot, so 8-second difference between game and shot clock. Thunder went 2 for 1, so they'll get an opportunity, even if Primetime runs it down to 0, which I doubt they'll do. They rarely ever do. Moore, Terrell Smith, guarded by Keene. 7 to shoot. Smith almost dribbled that out of bounds. Great defense from Anthony Keene there, but the offensive rebound is tipped by Moore to Sanders, who lays it up and in. They just beat you in so many ways. Anthony Keene to beat the clock, and that is how the first half comes to an end. Primetime players on their way to a three-peat here in the ECBL, leading by 24 in the championship game over the Carolina Thunder. We'll step aside again for, I believe, 10 minutes. Come back and bring in the second half coming up in just a little while. Don't go too far. Welcome back on to the third quarter we go. Primetime Players looking for a three-peat and their sixth straight semi-pro championship. Right now, they lead by 24, 74-50. Chris Shima, glad to be back with you here in Fort Mill, South Carolina. As we're underway, Chris Moore didn't know we were underway, but we're underway. Primetime will possess first. Primetime in the white and the Thunder in the sky blue, the old school striped jerseys. Looking a little bit like the, I don't know, did the Bobcats ever have jerseys that look like that? I know the Hornets did. Brian Mobley getting the start here in this second half. He misses that three, so set the five on the court for you. Williams, Keene, and Andrew Crawford for the Thunder as Crawford buries the jumper. Also Washington and Williams, so that's the five for Carolina. For the Primetime Players, it's Thomas Pfaff up front with P.J. Heath and Brian Mobley. Also Terrell Smith, Chris Moore. That's your five for each team. P.J. Heath, here's Moore on the right wing. Bounce pass to Thomas. Brian Mobley, great ball movement for Primetime, and Mobley buries a triple. So 77-54, the correct score on your screen. Primetime Players leading by 23. Mobley the rebound. Here's Smith, pull up three, in and out. Rebound controlled by Washington. Part of the reason why the Thunder are in this hole is Washington has not been able to stay on the court. He's got 3 fouls. He came late, so he didn't have his normal warm-up time. As you see him miss the turnaround hook shot there. Moore, here's Mobley. Swung back over, Mobley for three. Off the back of the rim, Thomas Pfaff, offensive rebound. Second chance opportunities for Primetime here today as well. I mean, look at the ball movement. Smith for three, can't get it. Thomas Pfaff, another rebound. That one came right to him as Moore gets it to go as his defender was trapped in the screen. 79-54, Primetime Players. Inside 10 minutes to go here in quarter number 3. Andrew Crawford rainbows the three ball in. Andrew Crawford trying to shoot his team back in it. They've got to get some stops on this end of the court too, though. Terrell Smith, Mobley from Moore. Smith for three. It's short. Washington the board. Here come the Thunder. Williams drives left of the lane, into the lane, lays it off the glass. No, but he's fouled and will go to the line. First free throw up and good. Jarvis Williams, 13 points per game. He's second in the league in assists, by the way, at 8.5. 7 double-doubles this year as he gets both free throws to go. And the lead is 20, 79-59. Terrell Smith gets it to Mobley. Primetime just moving it around, waiting for the open look. Mobley to the bucket over 3 defenders. He scores. Keene to the bucket. Keene, yes, off the glass. Anthony Keene, a veteran in the league, his first year with the Thunder. Mobley from downtown, too strong. There's another rebound, another offensive rebound by P.J. Heath. Smith can't get it to go. Thomas Pfaff, ball almost died on the rim there. before falling off, but Thomas is fouled. Thomas Pfaff rims in that second one, so 1 out of 2. And it's 2 out of 2, 83-61. Carolina Thunder won their last 6 in a row. Keene for 3, got it to go. And they're shooting the ball much better here in this second half so far. They've got to find some stops, though. The defense has played kind of a loose zone, almost like a 2-3 zone you see in football. Trying to do something to disrupt the primetime players. Washington fell down, and I believe we're going to get a timeout. Timeout on the court. We will step aside with 7:54 left to go here in quarter number 3. (84-63). Pershimon, glad to be back with you out of the timeout. That shot is way short by Whittington, who is having a frustrating day for the Carolina Thunder. Mobley to the bucket, lays it up, can't get it. Thomas Pfaff tried to volleyball it back in, couldn't do it. Andrew Crawford comes up with the rebound for Carolina. Crawford turns on the Jets, pull up from the free throw stripe. Yes, and the foul. Was the foul on the ball? It was, so that means Andrew Crawford goes to the line, try to complete the old school three-point play. Andrew Crawford on the season, 71% free throw shooter. 7:25 left to go here in quarter number 3. The championship game. We will have the trophy presentation for you immediately following this broadcast. No player interviews this year if it's the primetime players. We've kind of talked to them as much as we could talk to them. If the Thunder are able to come back and win this, we will get a Thunder player or two to come over and do an interview. Brian Mobley rainbows the 3 off the back of the rim. Keene the rebound. Keene, 100 miles an hour to the bucket, rejected by Smith. Chris Moore behind the back. Smith for 3. No. There were 2 primetime players going for the ball. Keene comes out of the pack with it, though. Keene, nice move. Dishes it out. 3 ball is no good from Williams. Offensive rebound by James. James floats it up short. P.J. Heath collects the rebound, had it poked away, but Brian Mobley is there. Moore into the forecourt. Moore swings it out to Smith. Smith for 3. Yes. (86-67). And the Carolina Thunder going to bring in James Richardson. Wet spot on the court has us delayed momentarily. It's hot, very hot here in this gym. My water was ice cold at the start of the game. It's lukewarm now. It's probably good that these games in the South, at least in semi-pro basketball, don't go much further than this. A lot of places don't have. It's surprising to me. You know, this is not North Dakota. This is Fort Mill, South Carolina. Put some air conditioning in every building. Out of the timeout, Richardson brings it into the forecourt. Here's Andrew Crawford now. Crawford for three with the hand in his face, no good. Trey James called for the push. So Chris Moore will inbound it over near us. As we go past the midway point here in this third quarter, primetime players are coasting so far. Carolina Thunder trying to fight their way back. They trailed by 24 at the half. Right now it's a 19-point lead for primetime. Good defense there. It's a steal by Richardson. Richardson, no. Put back by Williams is good. And the Thunder are hanging around. We saw this last year in the championship game. Fayetteville fell behind big, and then the primetime players kind of took the third quarter off. Fayetteville came back to make things very interesting, but primetime was able to put them away eventually. That ball deflected. Mobley with 7 to shoot. Turnaround jumper, gets it to go. Primetime 88, Carolina 69, nearing 5 minutes to go here in quarter number 3. So the championship of the East Coast Basketball League. Richardson from downtown off the back of the rim. Offensive rebound controlled by James and flips it up and in. 88-71. Smith thought about it. Defender Whittington closed. Here's Moore from way downtown. Silky smooth. Chris Moore. He was the MVP of the league this year, MVP last year. Finals MVP in 2015. He might be the Finals MVP this year. Off the miss from Crawford. Sanders the rebound. Moore. Double team. Terrell Smith swings it out. Brian Mobley thought about the three. Pulls up right of the lane off the back of the rim. James with the rebound for the Thunder. Pull up is good by Richardson. Chris Moore. Sanders fires the triple. It's off the front of the rim. James the board. Inside 4 to go. Thunder getting the stop they need, trying to convert. James can't do it. Put back no good by Whittington. And primetime comes up with it as it's deflected out. Chris Moore for 3. Wow. Chris Moore is heating up here in this third quarter. A triple-double against Florence in the first round for Chris Moore. At 41, 17, and 12 assists. He is rolling right now for the primetime players. That's a travel. And with 3:13 left to go, we will take time. Time out on the court. Primetime by 21 in the championship game. We'll be back right after this. 3:13 left to play here in this third quarter, and Primetime Players by 21. And Carolina Thunder with the basketball. My name's Chris Sheeman. Glad to be with you. Third consecutive year calling this championship game. I want to give a shout. I don't know if he's out there or not. Marcus Shockley and the folks at Netcast who did a great job doing the playoff games in the PD in Hartsville this past weekend. Foul called on the play, so that sends Richardson to the line. We might be hearing more from those guys at Netcast. I don't know. Hint, hint. Marcus, come help me more next year. Richardson 1 out of 2 at the charity stripe, 94-74. Moore has been outstanding, as always. Gets it to Heath. Heath blocked and fouled from behind. No, they say it was all ball, and he lost it out of bounds. They had insult to injury. So good defense there by the Thunder. And it'll be Carolina basketball after they clean up more sweat off the court. All right. Wet spot is cleaned up. They're going to run out of towels at this rate. It's so hot and muggy here in this gym. Hats off to these players for competing like this, both sides. Set the 5 on the court for you. Matt Sally's come on for prime time. P.J. Heath gets it underneath, rejected by Whittington, but Heath stays with it. Prime time knocking on the door of the century mark here. That rainbow shot was too strong. B.J. Crawford coming in, picks up the offensive rebound, and Whittington is fouled as he misses. So 5 on the court for the primetime players. In the backcourt, Moore and Smith. P.J. Heath, Sanders, and also Sally. That's the 5 for them. Richardson on the court for the Thunder. Also Bethea. At the line is Washington. B.J. Crawford. And somebody else, I can't see his number. That's Brandon Page, number 34. 2:09 left to go here in the third quarter. And that free throw is money. 96-75. Moore thought about it from that spot. Said Danny Sanders for 3. Can't get it to go. Sanders was hot early on. Not that time, though. B.J. Crawford to the bucket. No, put back by Page, but that won't count as they call a foul on prime time. So B.J. Crawford, 67% free throw shooter. Goes to the line. This game, as many of these games have been this year, has been very herky-jerky. Oh, that is a bad miss as the airball chants come out. B.J. Crawford, normally 67%. He's not a bad free throw shooter. I think these guys are just tired. Missed them both. Whittington chasing down the offensive rebound. Whittington on the reverse. No, Matt Sally altered it. Whittington stays with it. No again, and he just can't believe his luck. Sally had it, lost it, batted it out. Bethea can't get the 3. It's tipped around again. B.J. Crawford, no. And Primetime able to corral it finally. Sanders got trapped in the air. Luckily, Smith is over on the wing. Moore, bounce pass deflected, taken away. Good defense from Whittington, but he threw it away. Coming up with it, Terrell Smith. Here's Sanders, open look at a 3. Yes. So prime time back to its biggest lead at 24. That was also the halftime advantage. And 47 seconds left to play in the quarter. Bethea got that jumper to go. 99-77. We have not seen a lot of Devante Washington today for Carolina. 3 ball by Smith, in and out. Richardson swings it. Bethea for 3. Not that time, a little bit long. He's played pretty well offensively today for the Thunder. 14 seconds left to work with, so primetime will run the clock down here. Maybe not. Moore will shoot the deep 3. Sally bats it out, but a little bit too high for Heath. And the Thunder now have 4.8 to work with. Bethea with 2, blocked. Sally comes up with it, and that will do it. The third quarter comes to an end. The primetime players lead by 22, and they are 12 minutes from a championship. Do the Thunder have a comeback in them? We'll find out. 12 minutes left to go in the ECBL season, folks. Don't go too far. We're coming right back with quarter number 4. Chris Sheeman, glad to be back with you at Fort Mill, South Carolina. 12 minutes to a championship. Will it be the primetime players for the 6th time in a row? Or do the Thunder have a comeback in them? Bethea tries to get him started in the right way, can't get it to go. James offensive rebound. Here's Keene for 3, no. Tip for the rebound. James collects another offensive board. That ball batted out of bounds, and that's going into the golf course. Primetime players. I don't believe there's been a 6-peat in semi-pro basketball. We talked about it last year. There's been teams that have won 5 in a row before, but this would be an unprecedented run, we believe. So Thunder with the basketball, 14 on the shot clock as they retrieved it from the golf course. Richardson somehow got that shot off, falling down, and draws the foul. Sally called on the foul. And it'll be Richardson for 2. Richardson, 19 points per game, 42% shooter, 4.2 rebounds, 2.2 steals. That's his numbers for this season. 54% free throw shooter. More wet stuff out on the court, by the way. Chris Thomas and his team, again, getting ready for the basketball tournament. This is a tune-up for them. That event has really exploded out of nowhere in the past 3 years especially. ESPN's gotten a hold of it. It's a good time to do it in July. ESPN really doesn't have much else going on, so they're going to broadcast all of it this year. Most of it will be on the ESPN app, so that's ESPN3 or Watch ESPN. But still, it's good for the exposure in the game of basketball. Danny Sanders for three, can't get it to go. Washington back out there for the Thunder as he collects the rebound. If they're going to come back, they need Washington out on the court all 12 minutes. James, no. James' second effort is good. The Thunder, it's not out of reach yet, but they've got to get some pretty consistent stops here. Eric Mann coming back in. Sally the man, and nobody's home. He thought Smith was there, and Smith was to his left, or to my left, and his right. Keene to the cutter. James throws it down with two hands, and it's 16. This is as close as the Thunder have been in this half. They're playing zone. They've been playing zone the entire second half. 7 to shoot for the primetime players. Good defense here in the zone right now, 2-3. They got to force it, and it's a shot clock violation. Great defense from the Thunder there. So Anthony Keene will inbound it with 10 minutes exactly to go. Again, 10 minutes, now inside 10 here in this fourth quarter. Bethea, Keene. Keene being forced left, tried to throw it up, got the ball back out to Washington for three, no. Tip for the rebound, it's controlled by Mann. Terrell Smith, Moore. And threw it away. Good defense, Trey James, to get in that passing lane, intercept the ball. And Danny Sanders does it right back to him. Primetime's got numbers. Moore tries a triple. Too strong on that one, and Sanders is going to be called on the bump. So Primetime's been struggling a bit offensively to start the fourth quarter. Carolina has cut it to 16. Try to whittle further into the gap here. 9:17 left to go. Thunder trying to make a run here. They've trailed by as many as 24 in this game. Pull up, in and out. Tip for the rebound. Coming up with it, Bethea, who buries it. And the lead is down to 14. So the Thunder with a little momentum here to start this fourth quarter. Mobley, turnaround shot, got it to go. Primetime hits the century mark at the 8:40 mark. Keene. Richardson, pull up from the baseline, draws the foul, and he'll go back to the line. Primetime players, Carolina Thunder meeting. I mentioned when we did the first broadcast of the year, it was the Coyotes and the Cavs in Raleigh. And I said teams that share the basketball can find themselves in this championship game. Well, the Coyotes got that message. They were near the top in assists, but they fell a little bit short to the Thunder in the North. The North should be very competitive for a while. Primetime, of course, has the lockdown on the South right now, but Crusaders are starting to improve as Mobley gets to the bucket. All-Stars were improved this year, although they faded a bit late. Bethea steps into a three. The rainbow no good. Washington, nice job by him to fight for that offensive rebound. And I like this Thunder team. They are fighting with everything they've got here. 103-88. Sanders steps to the left. Three off the back of the rim. Tip for the rebound. James saves it to Keene. And here comes Carolina. They've got some numbers. Bethea, the triple. Yes! And Carolina starting to make a charge. What was a sure bet for the primetime players is now in doubt as the Thunder cut it to 12. Primetime, this is when their veteran leadership usually comes into play here. Somebody always gets a big shot, big pass. That shot blocked from behind, and they say the primetime players touched it last. So here come the Thunder. Can they make it a single-digit lead now? Bethea, he draws the foul. I saw on Facebook that some folks had some bets on this game that might have quit watching at halftime. Well, tell them to get back to the YouTube and check out the finish. Here come the Thunder. This is just how last year went, too. Fayetteville was able to make a late charge to make things interesting, and then primetime eventually put them away by double figures. Bethea with the last 5 points, and he cuts the deficit down to 10. Some nervous energy here in the gym. Sanders, Smith. Sanders back to Smith. Again, active zone right now. Chris Moore will back it out. 3 to shoot. He's got to shoot it from deep. Almost got it to go. James the rebound. Thunder can make it single-digit deficit now. James draws another foul. Trey James will go to the line. Eric Mann can't believe it. And Chris Thomas wants to talk about it. Timeout on the court. We will step aside. 6:32 left to go. The championship game got a whole lot more interesting here in this fourth quarter. Don't go too far. Free throws out of the timeout. Trey James, 53% free throw shooter. Misses the first one. Still opportunity to cut it to single digits here. If he can convert on this second one, primetime players led by as many as 24 at halftime and then late in the third quarter. This fourth quarter has been owned by the Thunder, but 2 free throw misses, big misses from James there. Danny Sanders from the elbow can't get it to go. Tip for the rebound, and they're going to call man over the back. 6:22 left to go. The Thunder with their heads up again. They just kept fighting and kept fighting. You know, every team gets a run in basketball. Thunder are making theirs at the appropriate time. Keene goes behind the back. Bethea guarded by Moore. Bethea trying to clear some space. Rainbow's a 3. Oh, it went in and out. Fight for the rebound, and they're going to call a jump ball as Washington and Mann would not quit. So they will jump it up. And this didn't look like much of a game in the third quarter, but we have gotten our money's worth here in quarter number 4. So man to jump it against Washington. Washington was in foul trouble in the first half. We didn't see much of him. He's played the duration so far in this fourth quarter, though. These guys are chomping at the bit for that basketball, and Washington able to win it. Richardson with the hand in his face, can't get it to go. He was looking for a foul call. Now is not the time to start barking at the officials. Stay in your own head. Moore open for 3, and he buries it. Big bucket for primetime. The lead back to 13. Thunder have to play almost perfect here, but they're certainly still in it. Keene goes behind the back, 5:24 left to go. He lost it, and it's a steal by Smith, then a foul on Carolina. So Moore will inbound it over near us. 5:22 to play. Officials are talking about something again, and I wonder if the discussion is if there was a defender back or if it was a clear path foul. If it's a clear path foul, then primetime should get one free throw and then the basketball. So they are going to take it out, it looks like. I didn't think it was clear path. So Smith to inbound it. Moore. Thunder have been in this zone for this second half. Oh, Moore open, he missed the bunny. How does Moore miss that one? And it's last touch by primetime, they say. So timeout on the court. We're going to step aside. 5:03 left to go. The Thunder hanging around. Primetime by 13, though. We'll be back. Thunder basketball out of the timeout. 5 minutes left to play in the championship game. Primetime by 13, but the Thunder have fought hard here in this fourth quarter to make it a game again. Williams too strong off the glass. James blows the bunny. Ball tipped out. Here's Bethea for 3. No. Washington, the offensive rebound. Richardson driving on the baseline, floats it up and in. We have not seen Thomas Pfaff here in this second half and at all in this fourth quarter, I believe. I'm wondering if he's shaken up or what the situation with Thomas is, but they are missing his rebounding right now. Here's Smith. 3 ball is off the mark. Offensive rebound by Mann. His putback too strong off the glass. Richardson throws it away. Here comes Sanders on the reverse. Got it to go. So primetime by 13 once again. Richardson, yes. Thunder needs some stops now, though. They're shooting the ball just fine, but they need to get stops consistently here. Primetime started sluggish on the offensive side here in the fourth quarter, but they picked it up. Mobley from the free throw stripe rims it in. Now it's a steal by Sanders, who buries a three. Oh, heartbreaker if you're the Thunder. Turnovers are killing Carolina. Oh my, Richardson going strong to the hoop, and he got fouled. So 2 free throws, hard-earned free throws from Richardson. Richardson just 54% at the line during the season, but looking good on that one. Bethea is out. Kendrick Whittington coming back into the game. James is also out. And it looks like Andrew Crawford back in. So, no, James just went over to the bench for a minute, so my apologies. 1 out of 2 at the line. There's Thomas Pfaff. I just mentioned he hadn't been in. Good to see him back out there over this final 3:15. Moore looked like he might have double dribbled. Either way, he turns it over. Carolina with little room for error now. They were able to make a big run, but they're down by 15 late, and they got to go quick. Keene tried to bank it in, couldn't do it. Thomas Pfaff collecting the rebound, threw it away. Thunder come up with it, thanks in part to Richardson. Keene lost the dribble, but it was kicked by Smith. So we will stay on this side of the court. Richardson drives in, lost the handle. Now it's out to Keene for 3. Can't get it to go. Another offensive rebound for Trey James. How about the work he's done on the offensive glass, and he gets his reward. James right to the bucket. 2:30 left to go, though. Primetime a bucket or 2 away from putting this one out of reach. They turn it over there, though. Richardson with the steal, 2-on-1. Keene back to Richardson, puts it up and in. Nifty play. Extra pass from Anthony Keene. So 2:07 left to go. Here's Sanders, Thomas Pfaff in the corner. Danny Sanders left alone. Can't get the 3 to go. Ball tipped out. Smith, Moore, the dagger. It's in. And that might be the finishing touches on it. Inside 2 minutes to go. Prime time by 14. Trying to wrap up a three-peat in the East Coast Basketball League. Andrew Crawford rainbows a 3 in and says, hang on, Chris, we're not done with this yet. Do they start to foul here? Well, they went for a steal, and Primetime ready for it as Mobley lays it up and in. Keene keeps the dribble to the bucket. No, Mobley the rebound. Chris Moore, Primetime, they are 112 away. The finishing nail and dagger by Smith. Primetime players are going to finish 16-0. Smith commits the foul there. Well, Carolina Thunder certainly had us on the edges of our seats for a minute there, but the veterans, the primetime players, a minute and 1 second away from wrapping it up. Bethea's going to come back into the game. And I believe it's going to be Keene to come out. So James will try to get 1 out of 2 here. Again, trophy presentation coming up. The free throw goes in and out. So Carolina Thunder providing adequate tests for the primetime players here today, but the PTP on their way to championship number 6. Pfaff in the corner. Moore, Thomas Pfaff lays it up and in. Arm time 123, Carolina 105. And Carolina will call uncle here and dribble around for a little bit. It's Jarvis Williams. Great season for him, 13 points per game. Andrew Crawford, 20 and a half. Bethea has done well off the bench today. Sanders stayed with them. Whittington. Here's Andrew Crawford. Great first season for him in the league. Moore. Smith. And that will do it. For the 6th straight time, it's the primetime players who are the champions of semi-pro basketball and a three-peat in the East Coast Basketball League as the primetime players win it today, 123 to 105. Folks, stick around. Coming up in just a moment, we will go down to the court for the trophy presentation ceremony, and then I'll be back to wrap it up. 123-105, primetime players win their 3rd consecutive ECBL championship. Well, folks, the primetime players being presented with the 2017 ECBL trophy. They have won a three-peat here in this league and their 6th consecutive semi-pro championship overall. Congratulations to them. For everybody with the ECBL, my name's Chris Sheeman. I'm going to wrap things up here since they're facing the wrong side. So once again, your final, the primetime players over the Carolina Thunder, 123 to 105. It's the primetime players, the 2017 ECBL champions. Congrats to the Thunder on a well-played game and a hard-fought comeback, but they come up a little bit short. Congrats, as always, to the primetime players who win yet another one, another trophy to add to their hardware, and good luck to them in the basketball tournament. Thanks, as always, folks, for watching all season long with us. Once again for the ECBL, my name's Chris Sheeman. Congratulations to Primetime Players. They are the champions of the East Coast Basketball League.